My wife, the woman I thought I knew, wiped out our life savings on some other guy. Seriously, you wouldn't believe it. I couldn't even afford a lawyer and she just laughed in my face. But let me tell you, I made one phone call, and the next thing you know, her little boyfriend was in cuffs. She was practically crawling back to me, begging for forgiveness. I'm 34, a man, and I still can't believe I'm writing this down. 3 months ago, I was convinced we had a perfect marriage, 8 years, solid as a rock. Now, I'm in a new apartment, starting over from scratch, trying to figure out how she managed to completely trash everything we had. We met at a friend's wedding. I was slinging drinks behind the bar. I was working 2 jobs, trying to make ends meet while I went to trade school to become a construction foreman. She was gorgeous, kept coming back for more drinks, and slyly slipped me her number. We clicked instantly. 8 years flew by, and I thought we were building something amazing. We'd saved up almost $95,000, a huge down payment on the house of our dreams. We were going to start looking at places next month. Then, bam, 3 months ago, everything went sideways. I got called back to a job early. The client changed their mind, so I had to reschedule the guys for the following day. I figured I'd surprise my wife with lunch, a little treat. Surprise was on her, not me. I pulled into the driveway and saw this fancy Audi parked there, not one we knew. Okay, whatever, maybe a friend was over. I went in through the garage and heard music coming from upstairs. As I got closer to the bedroom, I heard. Okay, so it's like I heard everything. I was standing there, totally still, outside our bedroom door, and I could hear my wife, getting it on with someone. And it definitely wasn't me. I swear, I felt like I wasn't even in my body. Half of me wanted to just bust in there, catch them in the act. But then another part of me just wanted to sneak away, pretend it wasn't happening. I ended up going with the first one. I shoved the door open, and there she was, my wife, with some dude I'd never seen before. He was tall, kind of pretty boy, with a fancy watch on. He looked totally freaked out. Nobody said anything for a few beats. Then my wife scrambled to cover herself and started yelling at me for, not being at work and invading her privacy. Like I was the one who messed up here. Pretty boy grabbed his stuff and tried to scoot past me. I stood in the doorway and asked him who the hell he was. My wife piped up. That's Derek, he's my personal trainer. Since when do you have a personal trainer? For 3 months I've been working on getting in shape, and that includes sleeping with him in our bed. Derek tried to get past me again, muttering apologies, but I grabbed his arm and told him to sit down. And believe it or not, he did. What happened next was the weirdest conversation I've ever had. My wife admitted she'd been seeing Derek for months. He was a trainer at that fancy gym downtown where all the rich people go. The same gym where she'd been working part-time at the juice bar to make some extra money. Something she told me was just so she could get out of the house more. $200 just for a consultation at the gym? I couldn't believe it. I turned to Derek like, dude, you actually sleep with your clients? He just stared at the floor. She'd already told me they were separated, the cliché. I lost it. I told him to get out, to never come near my wife again. After he left, my wife completely flipped. She went from all defensive to this blubbering mess. Tears, apologies, the whole "I messed up, I didn't mean it" routine. I wasn't buying any of it. I grabbed a bag and went straight to my brother's. I needed to clear my head, For days, I tried to process everything. My wife wouldn't stop calling and texting, 1 minute begging for forgiveness, the next blaming me for throwing away 8 years over one stupid mistake. A week after everything blew up, I met her at a coffee shop to talk. That's when I told her I wanted a divorce. She laughed. Actually laughed. Fine, she said, all nonchalant, but you should know I've been prepared for this. And then she hit me with it. She'd cleaned out our joint savings account. $95,000. Poof, gone. Derek and I have been investing it, she said with this awful smug grin. Real estate mostly, he's really good with money. It felt like a punch to the gut. 8 years of saving. Every bonus, every overtime check, every penny we'd squirreled away for our dream house. That's theft, I yelled. I earned more than half of that, she just shrugged. Prove it, she said. We're married, it's community property. I'll get a lawyer, I said, my voice shaking. So then she starts laughing again. Laughing, like, with what money, you're never gonna be able to afford a lawyer. She said Derek's cousin is a lawyer and had already given her the all clear. Said by the time I saved up enough for a lawyer, the money would be so tangled up I'd never see a dime of it. I was just frozen. The woman I'd loved and trusted for 8 years was rubbing it in my face, bragging about stealing our life savings and giving it to her boyfriend. Then she's all, "Oh, and Derek's helping me find a new place. I'm moving out this weekend, you can keep the furniture." Like she was doing me some kind of huge favor. I didn't say a word, just got up and walked out. That night, forget sleep. All I could think about was all those years of scrimping and saving, saying no to vacations and nights out with friends, and now, poof, gone. But then I remembered something really important. 3 years back, my wife's brother got into a bit of legal trouble, nothing huge, but he needed a good lawyer. Tom, an old buddy from high school, had become this high-powered lawyer who handled all sorts of stuff, including fraud. I'd called in a favor, and Tom had helped her brother out at a discount. They stayed in touch after that. Actually, I remembered my wife mentioning Tom helped her brother with some investments last year. Didn't think much of it then. I grabbed my phone and called Tom. It was 11, but he answered. "Hey man, so sorry to bother you so late, but I'm really in a jam and need your help." I spilled everything to him. There was this long silence on the other end. Then Tom finally goes, "Your wife's boyfriend, that Derek Watkins guy?" "Yeah," I said. "You know him?" "Buddy," he said. "Do I ever know him? We've been onto that guy for months. He's no real estate investor, that's for sure. He's running a straight-up con, preying on rich ladies at that gym. Gets him to put money into fake property deals, the whole 9 yards." He added, "He got busted for the same thing in Arizona, but he got off easy and then just moved here. He's on probation, but the cops around here had no clue about his past until we started digging." I felt this weird mix of relief and total dread. "So the money's gone, huh?" I said, my stomach twisting. Tom said, "Not necessarily, we've been building a case. A few other women have come forward, but they're too ashamed to go after him. If your wife testifies, though—" "No chance," I said. "She thinks he's the greatest thing since sliced bread." "Then we're gonna have to do this the hard way," Tom replied. "Get to my office first thing tomorrow morning." The next day, Tom introduced me to his partner, this ex-cop who specialized in financial crimes. They laid it all out for me. Derek had been pulling this off for at least 2 years. His MO was hitting on married women at the gym, women with access to joint accounts, sweet-talking them, then convincing them to invest in properties that didn't even exist. "We gotta act fast," they said, "before he moves the money overseas." My wife might have handed over the cash willingly, my partner explained, but that doesn't mean she wasn't a victim of this guy's scam. They had me sign a bunch of paperwork, give a statement, and hand over every scrap of paper I had about our savings. Before noon, they were already asking the court to freeze Derek's money, and by 3, they had. By 7, Derek was in cuffs. Turns out this creep was on probation from some old fraud case back in Arizona. The second he took our money, lying through his teeth, he broke his probation. The cops nabbed him at some fancy restaurant, having dinner with, get this, another married woman he met at the gym. I was at my brother's when my phone blew up with texts from my wife. "What did you do? Why's Derek getting arrested? Answer your phone. Seriously." I didn't even bother, I just forwarded everything straight to Tom. The next morning, she showed up at my brother's, her eyes all swollen and red. No more of that cocky woman from the coffee shop. "Derek's in jail," she said when I opened the door. "They say he was ripping off women, that those investments were fake." I just nodded. "Did you know?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "I made a call," I told her, "to the right person." Then the tears really started. "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "I didn't know, he seemed so real. He showed me all these property listings, contracts, the whole 9 yards. "And you believed him because you wanted to?" I asked softly. She nodded, tears running down her face. "The cops thought they might get some of the money back. Not all of it, but some." "Good," I said. Then, barely above a whisper, she asked, Can I come home?" I almost burst out laughing, after all that crap. The cheating, cleaning out our bank account, the way she acted like I couldn't afford a lawyer, she thought a few tears would do the trick. "Nope," I said, "you can't." But she backtracked, saying, "I messed up. I was dumb, I got played." "You made a bunch of mistakes," I corrected her. "Cheating on me was a choice. Taking all our money was a choice. Rubbing my face in it was definitely a choice." She tried to shove past me and get inside the house. My brother showed up behind me, arms crossed. He never liked my wife, and right then, his face said it all. "You need to go," I said. "My lawyer will be in touch about the divorce." "Your lawyer? You said you couldn't." "Tom is representing me," I told her. "And his firm has some great family law people. Turns out they don't like guys who screw over married women or the women who help them." Her face crumpled. "So you're saying I helped him scam other women?" Weren't you working at the juice bar, pointing out rich, unhappy wives? The police had statements from his other victims. She went white. I hadn't known for sure until that moment, but her reaction said it all. Over the next few weeks, the whole picture of what Derek had been up to came out. He'd ripped off at least 12 women, taking almost $500,000 altogether. Honestly, my wife was a big win for him, but she also pointed out people at the gym he might be able to take advantage of. The cops got back around 40 grand of our cash. The rest, Derek blew it all on his lifestyle. The Audi, the fancy watches, the expensive dinners where he'd wine and dine his next targets. Tom's firm handled my divorce like pros. Since we had proof that my wife sent the money to Derek during the affair, the judge wasn't having it. She was told she had to give me back all my money from any money she made in the future. She tried to play the victim, but the judge said she helped take all the money without me knowing, and that's financial cheating. Derek ended up pleading guilty to a bunch of fraud charges and violating his probation. He's doing 5 years now. My wife. Last I heard, she had to go back home with her parents. The fancy gym she worked at, they fired her from her part-time job once they found out she helped Derek. That was almost as bad as the affair. It's been 3 months since it all went down. I came home early that day. I'm still working as a construction foreman, just rebuilding my savings little by little. Tom introduced me to a financial advisor who's helping me get my finances straight. This way, nobody but me can touch my money. I've gone out with a few people, nothing major, you know? I'm not trying to jump into a serious relationship. It's tough to trust people nowadays. I still remember my ex-wife's smug face when she said, "You'll never be able to afford a lawyer." She was so sure of herself, acting like she had it all figured out, like I was totally screwed, but she missed a crucial point. It's not just about the money, right? It's about your connections, who you know and who knows you. I spent my life making real friendships with good, solid people. She, on the other hand, wasted our marriage and emptied our bank account on her lies. Ultimately, it all came down to one phone call to change everything.